There are moments in life when everything looks fine on the outside. You might have a job, relationships, entertainment, even achievements. But deep inside, there's a quiet, persistent feeling, an emptiness. It's not loud. It doesn't scream for attention. Instead, it lingers in silence, in the late hours of the night, in the pauses between distractions, in the moments when you finally stop scrolling, stop working, stop running. And then it hits you. Why do I feel like something is missing? This question is not new. It's not just yours. It's a question humanity has carried for thousands of years. And long before modern psychology tried to explain it, a man named Gautama Buddha deeply understood this feeling. He didn't just study it. He lived it. The hidden truth about emptiness. According to Buddhist philosophy, this feeling of emptiness is not a flaw. It's a signal, a message from your mind that something in your understanding of life is incomplete. In Buddhism, there's a concept called dukkha. Dukkha is often translated as suffering, but that translation is incomplete. Dukkha is more subtle. It's the feeling that something is never quite enough. You get what you want, but it doesn't last. You achieve a goal, but the satisfaction fades. You chase happiness, but it slips through your fingers. Sound familiar? This is the first insight of the Buddha. Life, as we normally experience it, contains dissatisfaction, not because life is broken, but because we misunderstand it. Why modern life makes it worse. In today's world, this emptiness is amplified. You are constantly told, you need more, be more, achieve more, have more. Social media shows you perfect lives. Advertising tells you happiness is one purchase away. Society measures your worth by productivity and status. But here's the paradox. The more you chase fulfillment externally, the more empty you feel internally, because the mind becomes addicted to next achievement, next validation, next distraction. And when there is no next, you feel the void. A story from the Buddha's life. There's a powerful story from the life of Gautama Buddha. Before he became the Buddha, he was a prince, surrounded by luxury, pleasure, and comfort. He had everything people spend their entire lives chasing. Yet he felt empty. One day, he left the palace and encountered four sights: an old man, a sick person, a dead body, and a wandering monk. For the first time, he saw the reality of life: aging, illness, death, and something else. A person searching for meaning beyond it all. That moment changed everything. He realized that no amount of comfort or success could protect him from the deeper truths of existence. And that realization, that discomfort, that emptiness, became the beginning of awakening, the real cause of emptiness. Buddhism teaches that emptiness comes from attachment. Attachment to outcomes, attachment to identity, attachment to the idea that something external will complete you. You tell yourself, I'll be happy when, I'll feel fulfilled once, I'll finally be enough if. But every time you reach that when, your mind moves the goalpost. This creates an endless cycle. Desire, achievement, temporary satisfaction, emptiness, new desire. This cycle is known as samsara, the loop of craving and dissatisfaction. And most people never realize they are stuck in it. The illusion of the missing piece. Here's where it gets deeper. That feeling of emptiness tricks you into believing there is something missing in me. But according to Buddhist wisdom, this is an illusion. The problem is not that something is missing. The problem is that you are looking for permanence. In a world that is constantly changing, everything changes. Your thoughts change. Your emotions change. Your relationships change. Even your identity changes over time. Yet, the mind desperately tries to hold on to things as if they are permanent. And when they inevitably shift or disappear, you feel empty. A subtle but powerful shift. Instead of asking, why do I feel empty? Buddhist teaching invites a different question. What am I holding on to that is creating this feeling? This shift is everything. because it moves you from being a victim of emptiness to becoming aware of its cause. And awareness is the first step toward freedom. In the next, we'll go deeper. You'll discover the concept of the false self and how it creates emptiness, why your mind resists stillness, a powerful Buddhist story that reveals the truth about inner peace, and the first practical step to begin dissolving this feeling. Because emptiness is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of understanding. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on it. In the first, you began to see something important, that emptiness is not a random feeling. It has a cause. Now we go deeper into one of the most powerful ideas in Buddhist psychology, the illusion of a self, the false self you carry. From a young age, you start building an identity. I am this kind of person. I like this. I don't like that. This is who I am. At first, it seems harmless, but over time, this identity becomes something you protect. You defend it. You compare it. You measure it against others. And slowly it becomes a cage. According to Gautama Buddha, what you call yourself is not fixed or permanent. It's a collection of changing parts. Your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, your physical body. In Buddhism, this is explained through the idea of the 5 aggregates, a constantly shifting process, not a solid identity. But here's the problem. You treat this temporary process as something permanent. And when reality doesn't match the identity you've built, you feel empty. Why identity creates emptiness? Imagine this. You believe you are successful, but one day you fail. What happens? It's not just disappointment. It feels like a part of you is breaking. Or maybe you see yourself as important. But suddenly you're ignored or overlooked. Again, that same feeling appears. Why? Because your sense of self depends on conditions that constantly change. And deep down, your mind knows this instability. That's why even at your highest moments, there's still a subtle insecurity, a quiet whisper that says, this won't last. The mind's fear is stillness. Here's something most people never notice. Your mind is constantly trying to avoid stillness. Why? Because in stillness, there are no distractions, no noise, no validation, no escape. And when all of that disappears, you are left alone with yourself. For many people, this is uncomfortable, so they fill their lives with endless scrolling, constant entertainment, busy schedules, noise, and stimulation, not because they enjoy it, but because they are avoiding something deeper, that emptiness. A powerful Buddha story. There's a story about a man who went to see Gautama Buddha. He said, I feel restless all the time. Nothing satisfies me. I want peace. The Buddha didn't give him a long lecture. Instead, he asked him to sit quietly and observe his mind. At first, the man resisted. His thoughts were racing. His body felt uncomfortable. He wanted to leave, but the Buddha told him, stay. After some time, something changed. The man began to notice. His thoughts were coming and going. His emotions were rising and falling. Nothing was staying. And then he realized something profound. If everything in me is changing, then what exactly am I holding on to? In that moment, his restlessness began to fade. Not because he found something new, but because he stopped clinging. The root of the problem. This is the deeper truth. Emptiness is not caused by a lack of things. It is caused by clinging to things that cannot last. You try to hold on to feelings that change people, who evolve moments, that past versions of yourself that no longer exist. And when they slip away, you feel the void. But the void is not the enemy. It's a reflection of reality. The turning point. Most people react to emptiness in one of 2 ways. They try to escape it. Through distraction, consumption, or denial, they try to fill it with achievements, relationships, or possessions. But both approaches miss the point. Because emptiness is not something to escape or something to fill. It's something to understand, a new way of seeing. In Buddhist teaching, there's a concept called anatta, which means non-self. It doesn't mean you don't exist. It means that what you think of as a solid, unchanging you is actually fluid and ever-changing. And this realization can feel unsettling at first, but it also brings freedom. Because if your identity is not fixed, then you're not trapped. You don't have to cling so tightly. You don't have to fear change as much. And slowly, that feeling of emptiness begins to transform from emptiness to awareness. Instead of seeing emptiness as something negative, you begin to see it as space. Space for awareness. Space for clarity. Space for something real to emerge. This is where true peace begins. Not in having more, but in needing less. In the next, we'll take this even further. You'll learn the Buddhist concept of craving and how it controls your life. Why pleasure never fully satisfies you. A simple but powerful practice to calm the mind, and how to start experiencing inner peace in real life. Because understanding is just the beginning. Transformation comes next. Stay with this journey. By now, something should be becoming clearer. That feeling of emptiness is not random. It is deeply connected to how your mind works. In this part, we go even deeper into one of the most powerful forces shaping your inner world, craving, the invisible force driving your life. According to Gautama Buddha, the root of dissatisfaction is something called tanha, or craving. Craving is not just wanting something. It's the urge that says, I need this to feel complete. I can't be okay without this. This will finally make me happy. And at first, it feels motivating. It pushes you to achieve, to grow, to move forward. But underneath that energy, there's a hidden cost. Because craving always carries tension. Why pleasure never fully satisfies you. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Maybe it was a new phone, a relationship, a goal you worked hard for. Before you got it, your mind was focused, excited, even restless. Then you achieved it. For a moment, it felt amazing. But how long did that feeling last? Hours? Days? Maybe weeks? Then something subtle happened. The excitement faded. The satisfaction weakened. And your mind started looking for the next thing. This is not a personal failure. It's how the mind operates. Buddhism explains this through the idea of impermanence. Everything changes, including your feelings. So when you depend on temporary things for lasting happiness, you inevitably feel empty again. The cycle you don't see. Here's the loop most people live in. Craving, getting temporary pleasure, fading, new craving. And this cycle repeats again and again. It doesn't matter how successful you become. Without awareness, the pattern continues. That's why even people who have everything still feel something missing. Because the mind is not satisfied by having. It is conditioned to keep wanting. A story that changes everything. There's a well-known teaching story involving Gautama Buddha and a disciple. One day, a disciple asked, "Why do I still feel restless, even when my life is comfortable?" The Buddha responded with a simple analogy. He said, "Imagine you are very thirsty, and someone gives you salty water. At first, it seems like it helps, but the more you drink, the thirst becomes stronger. That is how craving works. The things you believe will satisfy you often deepen the hunger instead. The trap of constant stimulation. Now look at modern life. You are surrounded by stimulation, notifications, videos, music, social media, instant entertainment. Every moment, something is trying to capture your attention, and each of these gives you small bursts of pleasure. But here's the hidden effect. Your mind becomes conditioned to constant stimulation. So when there is nothing happening, when it's quiet, when you're alone with your thoughts, it feels uncomfortable, even empty. Not because emptiness is naturally painful, but because your mind is no longer used to stillness. The first step toward freedom. So what can you do? According to Buddhist teaching, the first step is not to eliminate craving instantly. That's unrealistic. Instead, you begin with awareness. You start noticing. What are you constantly chasing? What do you believe will fix how you feel? How long does satisfaction actually last? This is not about judging yourself. It's about seeing clearly. Because once you truly see the pattern, you begin to loosen its grip. A simple practice you can start today. Here's a powerful but simple practice inspired by Buddhist meditation. Pause and observe. The next time you feel the urge to check your phone, eat out of boredom, or seek distraction, pause for a moment. Don't act immediately. Instead, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Then just observe. You might notice restlessness, boredom, anxiety, that subtle emptiness. Don't try to fix it. Just watch it. And something surprising will happen. The feeling will begin to change on its own because all feelings are temporary, even emptiness. The beginning of inner peace. This is where things start to shift. Not when you finally get everything you want, but when you realize you don't need to chase every desire. When you stop reacting automatically and start observing consciously. That's when space appears. And in that space, there is calm, there is clarity, there's a beginning of real peace. Finally, we'll go even deeper into transformation. You'll discover the Buddhist path to ending inner emptiness, how to let go without losing motivation, a deeper meditation principle used for 1,000 years, and how to build a life that feels meaningful, not just full. Because the goal is not to escape life, it's to understand it. Up to this point, you've uncovered something powerful. That emptiness is not a mistake. It's not a weakness. And it's not something you need to run away from. It's a doorway. Now, in this part, we step through that doorway into transformation, the path beyond emptiness. According to Gautama Buddha, there's a way to move beyond dissatisfaction, not by chasing more, but by understanding deeply. This path is known as the Noble Eightfold Path. It's not a religious rule book. It's a practical guide to living with clarity and peace. And at its core, it teaches one simple idea. When your mind changes, your experience of life changes. Letting go without losing motivation. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is this: if I stop craving when I lose my drive. But here's the truth. There's a difference between attachment and intention. Attachment says, I need this to be happy. Intention says, I choose to pursue this, but I'll be okay either way. When you act from attachment, you feel pressure, fear, and anxiety. When you act from intention, you feel focused, calm, and free. The shift is subtle, but it changes everything. The power of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the mental grip that says, this must go exactly how I want. Because the truth is, life is unpredictable. People change. Situations shift. Outcomes are never guaranteed. And when you resist that reality, you suffer. But when you accept it, something inside you relaxes. A deeper teaching, the nature thoughts. Here's something most people never realize. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts appear and disappear, just like emotions, just like sensations. But because they feel so personal, you identify with them. You believe them. You react to them. And over time, they shape your entire experience. But according to Gautama Buddha, thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. They are not the sky itself. And when you begin to observe them, instead of becoming them, you create distance. A practice that changes everything. There's a simple but profound meditation principle in Buddhism. Observe without attachment. You don't try to control your mind. You don't try to force peace. Instead, you sit and watch. You watch your breath. You watch your thoughts. You watch your feelings. At first, it feels difficult. Your mind will wander. You'll feel restless. You'll want to stop. That's normal. But if you stay with it, something begins to shift. You start to see, I am aware of my thoughts, so I cannot be just my thoughts. And in that realization, there is space, from emptiness to presence. Remember that feeling of emptiness? When you stop resisting it, when you stop trying to escape it, it begins to transform. It no longer feels like a void. It feels like openness, like space inside your mind that is no longer crowded with constant craving and noise. And in that space, you begin to experience presence, not thinking about the past, not worrying about the future, just being here, building a meaningful life. Here's the surprising truth. A meaningful life is not built by filling every moment. It's built by being present in each moment. When you are fully present, simple things feel richer, relationships feel deeper, experiences feel more real. You don't need constant excitement because you are no longer escaping yourself. The final realization, at the deepest level, Buddhist teaching points to this. The emptiness you feel is not something to fear. It is the absence of illusion. It is what remains when false expectations fall away. And if you learn to sit with it, to understand it, it becomes peace. Closing message. If you've made it this far, you've already taken a powerful step. You've moved from confusion to awareness, from reacting to understanding. And that's where real change begins. Final words. Emptiness is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Listen to it, understand it, and it will guide you towards something deeper than temporary happiness, inner peace. If this message helped you see things differently, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more content like this. Wisdom Hub Buddha, where ancient wisdom meets modern life.